Hi Daz, it's Personal Damon HC here doing a video on. This is the Note to Rare prototype. This was posted on the 6th of March this year. Nintendo PlayStation Note to Rare prototype sales for £2,030. So a Note to Rare prototype. See. This the only Nintendo PlayStation ever published an attachment has sold for $30,000 or £2,030.700. The Ultra Rare prototype was offspring of the short lifespan celebrated bit when Nintendo and Sony was supported to add a CD-ROM support to the Super Nintendo. Sony went on to create their own to set the PlayStation brand. Here's a heritage of action said it might be the last remaining Nintendo prototype as others were probably destroyed. The online bidding will end up paying for $3,060 or £2,076,900. Once the action house has buyers, a premium is added. People had a kind of heard about this story. Nintendo and Sony partnership will end up making the next of the sequel to Super Nintendo. I said, Video Game Museum in Sheffield. So, but nobody has really had a confirmed if it existed. So it was stated as may explain why it is now the most expensive gaming object ever. Trash in made in 1992, the Super Nintendo and NES CD-ROM was modelled after the successor of the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, but with a disk drive in a base. It will run to play both SNES titles and CD-based games, along with no official games were ever released using the CD drive. However, the console does work, but it actually tested in a SNES Mortal Kombat cartridge played on a couple of rounds edition in a DVD. The CD drive is played audio CDs. Most gamers have never seen this console until it was finished out of attic by his son. Mr. Dablod purchased the several boxes in the attic was his employee went under. He once said in an interview he had been buying some of company's dinners and placed a toaster but a lot of tonsils of other boxes included a ultra rare Dame console. He paid $75 for everything. It is thought it come with a official or off official. Some of the top exclusive Sony Entertainment who had a work at a whatever that means. Realizing the revolution that someone had found a evidence of May met the The finding of that object opened up with a whole history it was around the Nintendo and Sony partnership that before had ever been retrieved secretly. A Damien, the story of the Nintendo, PlayStation and comes with from time when Nintendo was leading high from its success with a Super Nintendo. It was still a few years until the next major console was released. Several consoles made were converted CDs with the future of Damien dedicated to replace large plastic cartridges in the 1980s. Sega had a 32-bit CD system, and Atari CD album was released for the Jaguar, but Nintendo collaborated with Sony at the end of the port. A day after Sony announced the deal with Nintendo back in 1991, Nintendo announced a new partnership with Philips instead, but decided to change the entry of the landscape of Damien introduced in the 1990s. The Philips CDI, known as the CDI, was a crucial commercial failure with a 4 Nintendo games published on it. It almost was the worst company catalogue. However, Sony went on to release a totally redesigning of the Sony PlayStation, what it owned become a worldwide sensation, selling more than 100 million consoles, more than doubled Nintendo's own mid-90s offering, the N64. And I don't think anything will really not will take off until Sony PlayStation comes in a really made Damien tool and said as for a Nintendo prototype. Mr. Talati said it would be fantastic if it had a museum or ever not its own, but the story behind it is more important of the machines itself. The proven one of video game objects are really one at risk being a loss, he said. The human story behind it is how it comes to be. So, I read most of it dies anyway. So, this is just a been sold, so for that much. So, if you want any more information, I'll put the link in the description. So, I hope you enjoyed this video talking about the Nintendo PlayStation prototype. So, it's Predator Damien HD signing off. Please return to I'll catch you on my live stream tonight anyway, guys. Peace out, everybody. Peace out, guys. Peace out, guys. Peace out. Peace.